Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to have you with us on the show today on this Thursday. We have picks coming up in the next half hour. Then Phil Steele tomorrow to break down all the key teams in college football, the pros and cons of a Notre Dame, a TCU, a Penn State, an Ohio State, a Clemson, an Alabama. You know, we'll break down all of them along the way, just to give you, the fan, a better idea of who's good and why. So Phil will be on the show tomorrow. Looking forward to that very much. Instant classic last night in the World Series. The Houston Astros have been in existence for 56 years, and last night, as part of our play-by-play call of the day, they won their first ever World Series game.
The 2-0 is drilled deep to left center field. Going back is Taylor, looking up. See you later! Jose Altuve puts the Astros ahead in the 10th, 4-3. 0-1, breaking ball, and that's hit well, pretty deep to left center field, and you can kiss that one goodbye. Back-to-back jacks for the Astros. First Altuve, and then Correa, 5-3.
Yet the odd thing is it didn't hold up. The Dodgers scored then 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning and tied the game 5-5. And if it wasn't for Laz Garcia, the umpire, they turned to pick off at second. The throw was off by a mile, and it hit him and stayed in play. They couldn't advance a runner. Well, then the Astros scored 2 more on the George Springer home run in the top of the 11th. But Culbertson homered in the bottom of the 11th, and then finally they withstood it and won it 7-6 last night. That was some game. And the Dodgers were 98-0 this year when leading after 8 innings. And they got to Kenley Jansen last night. Only the second save that Jansen has blown this year. But we're also seeing something right now that, again, it goes back to the pattern of managing. What was interesting about Game 1, did you notice this, Sean? That the pattern of managing in Game 1, because of how well the pitchers pitch, Kershaw, Keuchel, was a normal pattern. You know, the Dodgers, Kershaw went 7, then they had, Morrow pitched the 8th and Jansen pitched the 9th. It was just a normal pattern.
Yeah, not like the early part of the playoffs where, it's like you got to put all the chips in the table at very early stages of the game. Although I was surprised that Dave Roberts went to the bullpen so early last night.
Yeah, that's what got me about that last night. The interesting thing is that if Jansen had held on to it last night, the winning pitcher would have been? Former State College Spike Tony Watson. There are 3 former State College Spikes in one form or another involved in the World Series.
I would think if Houston wins this, that could be the point you go back to, was when Dave went to the bullpen so early last night after 4.
Yeah, now Watson did his job. I mean, he did what he was supposed to, but they kept going to guys one after another after another. You're like, what are we doing here? I mean, to get rid of Rich Hill after 4 innings, I'm sorry, that made no sense to me. I don't know if it made any sense to you.
Did he seem a little more out of control? Maybe that was the reason why he came out so early?
If he's not, okay, but what's the score? 1-0?
Yeah, it's not like the game was out of hand.
See, you hear the frustration in the voice of John Smoltz when it comes to how pitchers are handled. I mean, you can hear it. There's a big line in the sand among those who believe in sabermetrics about allowing a pitcher to face a lineup for the 3rd time. And I think it's all dependent on the guy. I think they have to always, you have to be able to, there's no hard and fast formula. when it comes to somebody. A guy like Kershaw, I think Kershaw got to handle the lineup 4 times over, and he's going to be fine. And I think sabermetrics and analytics are really important. There's no such thing as not having enough information. And believe me, I use it. I use it in my job. I try to use it judiciously. Most of the time when sabermetrics comes up in a football conversation, for me, it's either on the show or it's on the pregame show. I don't force it into the game broadcast. Because I think once you're getting into the game broadcast, if you're trying to force a stat in there, it's detracting from the flow. So make your points. For example, I'll make the point in the pregame show on Saturday that J.T. Barrett is a 41% passer when pressured. Now, that's a little bit deeper analytics than just looking at his base passing percentage. So I'll point that out. I'll point out that Johnny Dixon and Paris Campbell are both double-digit yards after the catch, which is an indication they can take that short route and they can turn it into a first down play. So Penn State needs to stop and turn it into a station-to-station passing game if they can. So that's how you can use stuff like that. But I'll use that in the pregame show, for example. Now let's bring it back to the baseball game last night. We watched Dave Roberts, who, by the way, has done a heck of a job. They won 103 games this year? All right. Almost get himself married to analytics last night as to how he did it. And I think you do manage one way with a guy like Kershaw, and you probably do manage a different way with Rich Hill. Rich Hill is a good major league starter. Clayton Kershaw is among the phenomenal pitchers of our generation. So you probably do manage, and you should manage differently based on who it is. I got that part. But boy, I'll tell you, he had nobody left, I mean, say they tied the game in the 11th. They're probably going to have to take the Game 4 starter, Alex Wood, and run him out there. I mean, this is not September where we have a 40-man roster. And then for A.J. Hinch, he doesn't have people out there doing what he wants. Guys that did something all season long. Now, Jansen had to go 6 outs last night. He rarely goes 6 outs. Ken Giles had to go 6 outs last night. He rarely goes 6 outs. I think sometimes where you're in this situation, you manage a little differently. Yeah, I understand that. But you then get yourself into a bind where you're trying to create on the fly how you're doing it, as opposed to already coming up with a formula that worked all year. See what I mean by that, Sean? That suddenly, okay, I put him in the game now. Well, for 162 games, that's not how I managed.
I got to thinking about the Cubs and Joe Madden. He did it last year in the World Series against the Indians. He brought in Aroldis Chapman to pitch more than 3 innings. And I'm thinking, sooner or later, that you're going to get burned by that. It's like the fool me once, fool me twice.
I mean, it's been interesting to watch how it's played out. I mean, Jansen doesn't do 6-inning saves or 6-out saves.
And then I think it was the pitcher that came in after Kenley Jensen was the one who came in after Jensen. He's the one that gave up the back-to-back homers, and after 6 pitches, he was gone.
Yeah, he's out.
I think it was Giles. Yeah, it was Giles. Yeah.
I mean, Giles for Houston, he doesn't do 6-out saves. Dubrensky, who won it last night, he usually pitches at first. I mentioned the spikes and the Tony Watson, of course, for the Dodgers. Luke Gregerson out of the bullpen for the Astros. And then the hitting coach for the Dodgers, Turner Ward, was the Spikes manager in 2008. So you get spikes on both sides. So, and this does go back to what I've discussed many times on this show. One of the keys to how a coach or a manager uses personnel is a critical 5-letter word that is rarely talked about: trust. You can tell Dave Roberts did not trust Rich Hill to go further than he did. You can tell A.J. Hinch did not trust other members of the bullpen, so he brought Giles in, even though Giles does not have the greatest track record going of late. But he's got more trust in him than other people down there. Dave Roberts did not trust somebody else to pitch the 8th inning. He trusted Jansen to pitch the 8th inning, and then the 9th. And I think it gets to this time of the year where the stakes are higher. Your trust in someone needs to be stronger. You cannot have a mediocre level of trust in somebody to get you out of the 7th inning. You have to have extreme trust in somebody to say, get me out of the 7th inning. Thus, you probably extend people longer. I mean, last year you talk about Chapman with Joe Madden. He probably didn't trust anybody else to come in and pitch in that spot. So that's the best guy I got left. We're going with him. It's different.
And I was so close to texting you last night to make sure you're watching before first pitch. It's like we were talking about Vin Scully earlier this week, and oh my goodness, that was so wonderful seeing Vin on the field last night for first pitch.
Did you see the crowd? Crowd was the best part.
And the PA announcer didn't even have to say his name.
He walked out there and they went crazy. Remember what we talked about earlier? And this is something, by the way, when Kevin was on the show, he talked a lot about. In modern sports is that we've become used to everybody just changing teams, you know? And yet, who are the beloved figures for franchises? The beloved figures are always the ones that stay and spend their whole time there. Yeah, they're the beloved figures. You know, I don't care whether it's Sidney Crosby or Mario Lemieux as to what they've done with the Penguins, or Bobby Orr with the Bruins, or Bill Russell with the Celtics, or Kobe Bryant played his entire career with the Lakers. Michael Jordan, except for the 2 years with the Wizards, but I mean, he almost all of it with the Bulls. You've got, in baseball, Brooks Robinson played his whole career with the Orioles. He is as beloved a figure as there is. Jim Palmer, as beloved a figure as there is in Baltimore. Look, I know he played a few games with the Chargers at the end, but Johnny Unitas. I mean, the beloved figures have spent the ones that spent the whole time with your team. Now, I know he did start for a little bit with the Twins, and then they released him. All right? But David Ortiz with the Red Sox, Derek Jeter with the Yankees, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams, they're beloved figures in the lore of Yankee baseball. Reggie Jackson and Dave Winfield are not. They're not beloved figures. But Posada and Williams and Jeter and Rivera are. They spent their whole careers there. They had a bond of excellence on the field and a bond with the fans. That was their guy. They're guys out there. Now let's bring it back to Vin Scully, 67 years. One franchise. Yankees offered him a job in the 60s, didn't take it. Stayed with Los Angeles. 67 years, one guy.
I was working on a commercial today for a client that has an ad agency out in Los Angeles, and I was talking to the guy who's going to be mixing down the final product out in L.A. He was at both games last couple of nights, and I said, how was this? How was it? I mean, it had to have been palpable in the stands. He said it was just incredible. It was amazing. Just the roar when Vin was walking out toward the bump was just absolutely amazing. I mean, you go from that brisk game on Tuesday night to that 4+ hour, as you would perfectly call it, passion play last night. It was just amazing.
Yeah, but again, what does Vin Scully have? Now, others have been like that. Sandy Koufax spent his whole career there. Don Drysdale, the late Don Drysdale did, and so forth. But Vin was there 67 years. And some announcers do get that way. You know, and we've talked about some of the great ones over time. Ernie Harwell, whole career with Detroit. I mean, Bob Prince, I think, spent 1 year with Houston, one of them. I mean, I know Harry was with the Astros for a couple of years, but that long time with the Phillies. Thoroughly beloved. Chris Wheeler, 37 years, beloved. I had Chuck Thompson, Colts and Orioles, beloved. Phil Rizzuto, Yankees, beloved. Ned Martin, Red Sox, beloved. Jack Buck, Cardinals, beloved. Vin Scully, Dodgers, beloved. You know, they weren't guys that were jumping around. You know, Larry Munson, Georgia, beloved. John Ward, Tennessee, beloved. Eli Gold, Alabama, beloved. Bob Ufer, Frank Beckman from Michigan, beloved. Fran Fisher, Penn State, beloved. That's that connection, because these guys all stayed in the same spot for years. And in the end, fans, I think, appreciate that your guy, whether it's a player or it's an announcer, didn't look for grass that was greener on the other side. They thought your grass was green enough. And so Vin Scully, 67 years, he could have, I know he was national on CBS and national on NBC, but he never left the Dodgers. And to him, the grass was always greenest in Southern California. And believe me, the fans know that. In other words, he thinks we're good enough. He didn't jump ship and go someplace else. Merrill Reese. And Merrill Reese could go anywhere he wants. Bill Hillgrove, go anywhere he wants. Mike Lang, anywhere he wants. Haven't done it. We'll come back. Marty Brennaman, Cincinnati. I can go along with a whole bunch of them like that. We'll come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. World Series now shifts to Houston for games 3, 4, and 5. Game 3 will be tomorrow night. Game 4 after Penn State, Ohio State, and Game 5 on Sunday. So last night was a classic. But, yeah, you're talking about, the love he feels. Well, again, it comes down to, I just think longevity and staying in one spot means something. Now, you can have longevity and be a caustic figure or somebody people don't really love or whatever, they tolerate you. Yeah, that can happen. No question about that. That happens. But, all the people I'm talking about, they're all beloved figures. I've talked about, I've talked about Fran forever here. Fran was about as beloved a figure as anybody here. So I was so glad the Indiana game that they saluted him. Just wish he'd been here. I miss that. I miss that sense of humor, the ability to give me that laugh. But yeah, you go back to 1966. Who's there? Fran Fisher. Yeah. All right. Next half hour, we're going to do picks. And I am so far behind right now that I may just call in, like Vin Scully did last night with Fernando Valenzuela, where he needed a guest left-hander. I may need a guest picker.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Let's see. I remember last month on the tailgate show on the Sports Network, Derek's son was part of a pick segment.
Yeah, but that didn't go well. He actually lost a game. Yeah, Kingston. Derek's son, Kingston.
Yeah.
His son is 5 years old, right? Kingston's 5. And loves basketball. Not football. He loves basketball. So already Derek has him into the AAU circuit because he's good enough where he's playing with 8-year-olds. Wow. Great kid, though. Derek's son is a really, really great kid. I know Jack and I get a kick out of him.
If you want to have a fun day, you have to drive a Hyundai. Sunbury Motors Hyundai is putting other import brands on high alert with their drastic new Hyundai reductions. While other dealers have 2017 Accents for $17,140, Sunbury Motors Hyundai has Accents starting at $12,890. Compare a Toyota Camry with a 2017 Sonata for $18,965. And you decide which is the better value. All new Hyundais come with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Sunbury Motors has 13 Hyundai Tucsons starting at $23,143. Save up to $49,49 on a 2017 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport. Santa Fe Sports start at $25,766. If you want to have a fun day, you have to drive a Hyundai. Brand new Elantras start at $16,680. With these prices, Sunbury Motors Hyundai is putting other import brands on high alert. SMC Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury.
Accent, Sedan, and Santa Fe models with SMC loaner vehicles.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 at Hummel's Wharf. Travel day tomorrow. By the way, Phil Steele on the show tomorrow. Break down all the top teams in college football as only he can. And now we bring in the Mystic from the East, coming off a big 6-0 record last week.
Pitched a shutout, baby. And
Shawn,
in the league that I play for pay, won that one too. Won $50.
There you go.
There you go.
Second win of the year, so I'm up 100. That pays for being in the thing. So,
but also makes up for that.
Now we're on profit here on out. So.
Well, it makes up for that money you lost a few weeks ago. Was that $50?
Yeah, well, I lost in the parking lot.
Yeah, so it makes up for that. So you're gaining that back, so that's good.
That's true.
That is not the first time that has happened.
No, it's a big shopping plaza, and every time I go there, because it's been a real big job, I still hunt the parking lot. I'm like, I know I'm going to find it like stuck up against a pole or something.
You're holding out hope.
Yeah, so you never know. So, but
it's not whatever. The America I know. It's gone.
Oh man, you talk about mad. Oh boy, was I mad. So, yeah. I knew. Put it in your wallet. Put it in your wallet. You know, so I said, I better put that 50 in my wallet. It's gone. I was like, oh, jeez. So, oh, well. It ain't easy being me, that's for sure. So.
Not to be confused with It Ain't Easy Being Green, the Kermit song.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the sequel.
I mean, really, the only one where it's easy, it's easy being the suit. So, it's just...
So he says.
Well, the rest of us look at it with envy. Yeah. Waiter running around the restaurant, nobody getting any food, but it looks good. So, all right, what do we have game-wise?
Okay, we'll have our usual six-pack of games. Yep, as you said, Kevin cleaned the decks last week, 6-0. I was 5-1. Steve, you went 4-2. So after 7 weeks, grand total after 7 weeks, Kevin is 31-16. I am 29-18. Lost a game from last week. And Steve, you're 25-22. You are above water, which is phenomenal.
Look, all I know is that the last 8 Saturdays, I've watched somebody else be 7-0.
That's right.
I could care less if I'm 25 and 22.
Oh, come on. You'd be gloating if you were winning.
Kevin, I said to him last hour, I said, you've hit 6-0 one week. I've hit 6-0 one week. So Steve's due. It's coming.
Yeah, you're due.
It's happening. It's going to happen.
We all
after
have
years.
jobs, too, Steve. We got jobs, too. So if you were winning, you'd be gloating. You're my brother. I know you.
This is, well, I don't know. I disagree with that.
I think he would be gloating.
I
post
don't agree at all. I have a job. I got a full-time job. I remember my football picks.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
I work 7 days a week.
No, it has nothing to do. I don't think you get my point.
No.
I don't think you understand my point. Penn State's been doing so well that I have a lot of fun doing this. I have as much fun doing this as any segment I do during the course of the week. Because, I just have fun with you and with Sean. We have a good time. But what's been happening with the football team here has been a kind of a special thing to watch and happen. So it has nothing to do with my picks.
It's cool. Did you hear your calls? ESPN
I know the answer to that one. I can tell you the answer to that. That would be no.
ESPN National played all your calls. I heard it at 4 o'clock in the morning on ESPN National.
That is where I'm at my best, 4 a.m.
No, man, your call on the juggle was awesome. That was a great call. Right up there with the block kick call.
Hey, I remember last year, after the Ohio State game last year, I got home. And what time was it I finally got home? It was after 1 in the morning when I finally got home. Popped Sports Center on right away. Not even 5 minutes. There's Steve's call. And when I got back in here Monday afternoon, play-by-play call of the day. Yep, without a doubt. I did the kick block as the call of the day. And what did you say, Steve? That was the first time you heard the call. Almost 48 hours later.
Well, except for the post-game show.
Well, true. Well, that's part of the broadcast. That doesn't really count.
Right.
Yeah, well, this time they threw you even a bigger bone. They said that's Steve Jones in the Penn State. Usually they just say that's the Penn State Radio Network. This time they identified you.
Oh, that's nice.
That's very nice.
That's nice. That explains the authorities that were at my house on Sunday. No, I was telling Sean I was on a show in Michigan earlier in the week, and they brought up what you brought up. And they said, "What do you think of that?" And they said, "Well, it's about time."
I got one.
All right, so let's find out how. Yeah, they brought it up, and they said, they said something. I hate to say this, but I'll just tell you what they said.
It's okay,
they said,
it was a great call.
They said, "You've had some great calls." And I said, "Well, it's about time I did."
You've had great calls along. But some stick out more than others. See, a great call captures the moment. And what a lot of people don't realize is sports talk radio, they look at that stuff. And then the Boston stations will play the great, on EEI, they'll play calls, and they'll make fun of them, as much as they'll say that was a great call. Sure.
Right.
They'll tear the guy to pieces if they want to, but
I'll have to remember that.
The call because it's the moment, and you capture the moment. So you did good. They've
given me a lot of good material to work with. Now back to being 25 and 22.
Then
let's go back to earth here.
Then reality set in.
Hey, I just try to change the subject, man.
Brother with baseball bat hammering me over the head.
I go back to the days when you please refrain from throwing snowballs in the stadium. And Dad sitting next to me. We're in the stadium, Sean, right? There's like 2 feet of snow in Beaver Stadium. And kids are throwing snowballs all over the place. Yeah. We're sitting Indian style. And Steve is the stadium announcer. And Dad, my father says, somebody's going to tell that idiot to stop making that announcement. It's your son.
He's only instigating them.
It's one of those situations where you personally know it, but they kept coming in the booth, the people that run it, so they told me I had to do it. And,
you had no choice.
And my gut instinct was, I don't think I should do this, but I also understood there's liability here too.
Yeah.
So if you don't,
the announcement, the more
worse it got. Right, the worse it got. The worse it got.
That was the game where that drunk guy was sitting in front of me and Dad, and man, he was annoying me, and he kept hitting Dad, so his hat fell off. So I took his hat and I buried it in the snow. And the hat was one of those Michigan, Ohio State, biggest game of the year hats, or one of them.
Yeah.
He's hunting for his hat. I was like, there you go, karma. That was the Amani Toomer game. Amani Toomer caught a touchdown and got hit by 4,000
Mercury Hayes.
snowballs.
It was Mercury Hayes. It was Mercury Hayes. Yep.
Amani Toomer played in the game.
He played in the game, but it was Mercury Hayes that got it. Because Big Ten Network did 10 worst weather games ever.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. So I obviously, I get interviewed for a lot of documentaries. So I remember having to talk about that.
Well, for whatever reason, but it was a good game.
Yeah.
Man, we froze. Holy cow.
That was the one where Penn State ran the fake field goal and scored a touchdown and won.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got limited time here, so we got 6 games.
But we're having fun here. All right.
I know we are having fun.
We
I know.
are. Yep. 3 college, 3 pro. Let's jump.
I'm trying to avoid it where we all go 0-0 for the week because we ran out of time.
Yeah. Well, I'm still going to defend you here, okay? Because last week you made 2 picks. You said I got to try and catch up. Yeah. So you made 2 picks that you really didn't want to make. So. And you lost.
That happens. Hey, that happens. You got to take a little risk.
You went for it. So I admire that.
As you expand your lead, I admire your stupidity too, Steve.
I took a risk on Atlanta as well, and foolish me, I thought they'd make a game of it. I mean, the Fog had a better presence in that game than the Falcons did. I mean, jeez.
Are the Patriots that good, or is Atlanta that bad? So
I'll tell you, Kyle Shanahan leaving Atlanta to be the head coach of the 49ers, I think has had a real effect on how Atlanta plays offense.
Big.
Yes, he has. You're very right. That's where you admire the Patriots, you admire the Steelers, you admire these teams that are good every year no matter what. Yeah. Nobody can keep the consistency that those guys do.
No, that's right.
They don't win the Super Bowl every year, but they're always good.
They're always in the They're always in the mix.
Yeah. So
after this weekend, Steve, you're back in the mix. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
I can feel it.
Yes.
No, we just won't make a pick. We'll throw you a bone.
All right.
I stayed even.
Hey, you're above 500. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma.
That would put you in the Hall of Fame if you were a baseball player.
That would. That's true.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. 3 college, 3 pro. Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Kick off with that one. Leader goes first.
Okay. Mason Rudolph's never lost to West Virginia. Will Greer is really good. West Virginia, and as much as I dislike West Virginia, Oklahoma State really struggled with Texas, and their offensive line is really beat up. So I'm going to take West Virginia.
That's what I'm going to do. West Virginia.
I'm taking Oklahoma State, and this is not one of those where I feel like I'm taking a risk. I really believe Oklahoma State's going to win.
They're a very, very good team. Well, I had Oklahoma State, and I crossed it off about 15 minutes ago and changed it to West Virginia.
Well, I'm going back and forth on this game. It's North Carolina State at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's gone under the radar this year, guys. They are really good, and nobody plays the schedule that they play. They got their 1-point loss to Georgia. They beat the living tar out of USC last week. I got Notre Dame.
Yeah, running game is clicking. Fighting Irish.
It's something Phil Steele and I will talk about this on tomorrow's show, but I think Notre Dame, the physicality of the offensive line, now with a quarterback that really matches the style Brian Kelly wants to play, it's going to be a closer game than people think, but Notre Dame will win.
Yeah.
And we go to the Big Ten for Michigan State at Northwestern.
I think redemption for Michigan State after last year's beating. They took, I think it was like 54-40. Michigan State's only problem this year is they got to hold on to the ball. They turn the ball over a lot, but they're finding ways to win. I'm taking Michigan State in a tough game.
That's one of the teams in the league that not a lot of people are talking about. Wisconsin, they're doing their thing on that end of the, on that side of the standings, but on that side of the bracket in the conference. But Michigan State, they're sneaky good, and I'm seeing Coach smile a little bit more on the sidelines this season compared to last season. I'm going Michigan State.
My initial inclination was to take Michigan State, but I'm not going to. Northwestern's coming off a really tough, hard-fought game and a win in overtime against Iowa. This game's in Evanston, right?
Yes.
I think Northwestern's going to win, and I think it's the first team that gets to 17 is going to win the game. And it's going to be Northwestern.
All right, we'll go to the pros. Sunday action, Carolina and Tampa Bay.
Carolina's got issues. They lost again last week. I'm taking Tampa Bay. Carolina's got a better record and got better stats, but Tampa Bay, I think, is a better team, and Cam Newton has got to grow up. So I got Tampa Bay.
I think the way Carolina's offense is going lately, do you just have this concern that Christian McCaffrey is going to get really, really injured in a game? I mean, you think he's going to – I mean, if he bulks up a little bit, I mean, he could be even a more terrific player. But I'm taking Tampa Bay. Carolina's just been
I think neither team is good. I don't think either one of them's very good. I'll take Carolina in this one with the idea that maybe Cam Newton has a decent day.
All right, 100.9 The Valley. Primetime on Sunday night at 8:30. The Steelers and Detroit. This will be the Steelers' last game before they go to the bye.
I'm not picking against the Steelers until they lose. With Brown and Bell playing the way they are and the way they can control the football, I got Pittsburgh.
Me too. You know that.
The Lions are going to kill the Steelers. No, I'm going to pick the Steelers to win. I think they've now put themselves into a cut above category.
Yeah,
but this could be tighter though. This is going to be a tougher ball game though than people think. I mean, but
Detroit's tough.
But yeah, they get this. They move to 6-2, doing good into the bye. Schedule sets up very nicely in November when they get Indianapolis and Tennessee, and then Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. So they got a great shot to.
Well, and it's funny thing is I talked to Jim Brandstetter, who's the Michigan play-by-play guy, but he's also the Lions color analyst. So we were talking about that before the game. Jim and I probably talked for a half hour before the game, and I brought up the Rodgers thing, and he said everybody now in the division feels like they have a shot.
That's how good he is.
Yep.
It's a shame. Hated to see that.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, no. I hate to see a guy go down. But
well, especially with a high-caliber player he is. I mean, he's one of the marquee figures in the whole league.
Yeah.
And he can start seeing the end of the rainbow here, too. That he's getting up in his career, and you can't lose years. That's awful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I did. The 2 Steeler games I went to this month, I said, I just kind of sat there and just, took a deep breath when Seven was out there on the field. And say, hey, this ain't going to last forever.
Yeah.
Just got to savor it while he's still there.
Well, they got to start eating what Tom Brady eats. He eats all his tofu and all his organic ice cream and.
You got Landry Jones. I don't see what your problem is.
All right, one more here. This is the primetime Fox game Sunday afternoon. It'll be on before the World Series Sunday night. Fox is promoting it as the greatest weekend ever.
Yeah, right.
Dallas and Washington.
I I'm not going on a limb. I love Washington. I love the quarterback. Dallas, I think, has major league issues, and I'm going to take Washington to win big.
See, I think while Dak while Dak and Zeke are out there, they're clicking. Zeke's not there, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So Zeke's playing, I'm taking Dallas.
I agree with Kevin about how much you like Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins a lot, too. I really do. That's why I thought what Carson Wentz did Monday night was so special. I thought Kirk Cousins played at a really high level. Wentz just played
a great
better.
Game, yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, he's so much better than Kirk Cousins. No, Kirk Cousins played really, really well. Wentz just played better, and that's a real positive about Wentz. But you know what? I know the 49ers are not good. I've got that. But I'm gonna go with Dallas and ride that for an extra week here to see if they were hot, and that means something.
Okay.
See, it's those performances like that out of Kirk Cousins. We talk about the Redskins in the offseason. What are you doing? What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Sign the guy. Who else are you going to find that's better out there? Steve, you talked about premium quarterback play in the entire league. It's like after a little more than a handful of quarterbacks, what else you got?
Well, we just talked about Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers goes out. It's Brett Hundley. Really? I mean, that's how thin this league is in quarterbacks. I mean, the revolving door in Cleveland should tell you something. Joe Flacco, as his game's fallen off in Baltimore, that tells you something. There's a number. Cam Newton can be great one minute and bad the next. That's why the quality of quarterback play in this league has dropped off, and I think there's multiple reasons why the NFL ratings are not what they were 2 years ago. Cord cutting being one, national anthem controversies, but also the fact that the quarterback play in this league has become mediocre because you don't have as many stars. I mean, Matt Ryan was a star last year. Matt Ryan's not playing like a star this year at all.
No, very true. Just a quick story. I know you got to go here, but just in the last week, my friend Billy Ovitz, I don't know if he got to see you at the game or not.
No.
Did you see him?
No.
No. Huge Denver Bronco fan, lived in Denver for 15 years, had season tickets, refuses to watch the NFL anymore. We went to breakfast with a couple Sunday, and the guy was a veteran and loves football, loves college football, refuses to watch the NFL because of, these are just general people. The NFL can come up with all their crazy reasons, but they're burning their own product. And that national anthem thing really burned a lot of people. They were just like, it was already getting boring with commercials and lack of star power and all this other stuff. And then they come up with this rule that you can celebrate, and so you got guys like Beckham Jr. in the end zone urinating on the making like he's a dog, and you're almost like you're watching children that are very rich, and you don't want to watch it anymore, and they're spoiled. So I just thought I'd throw that out. These are just regular, everyday guys who refuse to watch the product anymore. They love college football, and they're staying with it. So,
well, there are a lot of reasons. That's one of them.
Yeah, it's a big one. That national anthem really irritated a lot of people. So, irritated me.
I'll tell you right now, that is a case of sometimes you have to know who your customer is.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you always have to know who your customer is. Yeah.
You get too high on the hog and you look at ESPN, taking a nosedive, whatever. Still love the sport, still love to follow it, but don't have the oomph I used to have, that's for sure.
Yeah, neither do I when it comes to the pros. I'll watch it, but there's not the passion isn't there like it used to be.
Exactly. College, all on board, baby. Go Penn State. Kick some butt. I can't wait.
That'll be 2 o'clock the airtime, 3:30 the kickoff Saturday in Columbus.
You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. You can hear us anywhere in the world with the Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation app.